All right, I want to take a few minutes and talk about the virtues. And if you go to the Catechism around 1804, starts the human virtues, 1805, the cardinal virtues, and then we're going to end up with the theological virtues here in 1812, okay? It's like an overture. So anyway, I just want to read a couple of these points for you. Hopefully you'll be reading along with me. Human virtues are firm attitudes, stable dispositions, habitual perfections of intellect and will that govern our actions, order our passions, and guide our conduct according to reason and faith. They make possible ease, self-mastery, and joy in leading a morally good life. So the virtuous man is he who freely practices the good. Moral virtues are acquired by human effort. They are the fruit and seed of morally good acts, and they dispose all the powers of human being for communion with divine love. Dispose all the powers of the human being for communion with divine love. Okay. The cardinal virtues. 4 virtues play a pivotal role and accordingly are called cardinal. All the others are grouped around them or hinged on them. Okay. They are prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. And if anyone loves righteousness, wisdom's labors are virtues. For she teaches temperance and prudence, justice, and courage. Okay, that's from Wisdom 8:7. These virtues are praised under other names in many passages of Scripture. So I'm going to really just make a brief nod to each of these here. When you talk about prudence, prudence is not just knowledge, understanding, or even wise choices. Prudence has this idea in mind: what is this act or this choice that I have before me that if I do it will help me, enable me to be the saint that I'm called to be? So it's not just wise choices. Prudence is looking at potentially even 2 goods and saying, this is the one that will enable me to be the saint that I am called to be, right? Prudence. Right, is the virtue that disposes practical reason to discern our true good in every circumstance and to choose the right means of achieving it. So each circumstance we face has an opportunity to utilize that cardinal virtue of prudence. Justice is the second, to give to God and to man that which they're due. Well, what do we give to God? We give to God latria, adoration. It's that gift that we give to Him, the entirety of ourselves to Him. We adore Him. What do we give to the human person? Dignity and respect. So when we, as Catholics, do these things called the corporal or bodily works of mercy, we're giving to the human person justice. We're giving to them what they are due. And what do they do? To be treated with dignity and respect. Sometimes they might not treat themselves with dignity and respect, but we have this incredible opportunity to implement and to give to another justice. Justice isn't necessarily, although many people look at it, it's not a negative. People might say justice is a severe act and action, but justice is to simply afford and to extend to somebody, a respect and a dignity that they deserve, simply by being human. Number 3 is fortitude, and this idea of fortitude is not just like tenacious, strength and unwavering, tenacity and faithfulness. It can have that, but when we talk about fortitude, it's that moral virtue that ensures firmness in difficulties and constancy in the pursuit of the good. So when you think about fortitude, at least when I think about fortitude, I think of the saints who were willing to be steadfast in their faith even at the face of death, even facing their martyrdom. And that's fortitude, right? To be strong and willing to hold to the truth, to the good, because it is that good, no matter the consequences. So, and the last is temperance, and temperance is that cardinal virtue that helps you to control your appetites. So the moral virtue that moderates the attraction of pleasures and provides balance in the use of created goods. And I like that idea of balance in the use of created goods. So there's nothing intrinsically wrong with human goods necessarily, but we have to have a balance there. So nothing wrong with food and eating a nice meal, but if you continue to go beyond that and have a lack of temperance, you could find yourself being a person participating in the deadly sin of gluttony. So So that's kind of the cardinal virtues. The theological virtues, though, are faith, hope, and charity. And most of you are familiar with those. Even at the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, faith, hope, and charity, the greatest of these, love will remain. So human virtues are rooted in theological virtues, which adapt man's faculties for participation in the divine nature. For the theological virtues relate directly to God. All right, so we'll move on to this soon.